Welcome to Half 2-4. Today in the issue, full collapse in Madrid, why Real is falling apart before our eyes, and why stars are releasing official excuses every 2 days. The world's most expensive footballer officially changed clubs. Casemiro says goodbye with tears, and United has already found him a replacement in Italy. We will tell the details of the deal. Also today, Inter takes the heart of Anfield, why Barcelona is afraid to sign Bastoni. About all this right now, Hulk has officially joined Fluminense, but this news is not about the age of the veteran. It is about a unique record, which is unlikely anyone will ever beat. Before you is the most expensive football player in history by the sum of transfer payments among those who not a single day spent in the top 5 leagues of Europe. No England, no Spain, no Italy. 115 million euros total, and all this past the elite championships. Let's figure out how he became the king of the market, ignoring the Premier League and La Liga. So, in fact, the contract with Fluminense is signed until December 31st, 2027. Hulk is already 39. He will arrive at the team next week and will play under the number 7. But think about the figures of his career. Porto, Zenit, Shanghai, SIPG clubs paid for him mad money, but he always chose the path of the rich traveler outside of the top 5 leagues. To help you understand the scale, here is how the top 10 players look by the total value of all their transfers in football history. In first place is Neymar with a solid lead, for whom 400 million euros were paid in total. Second place, Romelu Lukaku, 339 million. And here is an interesting moment. Romelu Lukaku is open to a return to the PL already this summer, as Napoli is prepared to let him leave for around 20 million pounds. This means he can soon add a significant sum to his rating and get even closer to Neymar. In third place is Cristiano Ronaldo with payments for him at 247 million. Closing the 10 is Angel Di Maria with 179 million. In my opinion, it is a fairly interesting rating, which also includes Morata and Coutinho. So, Hulk, with his 115 million euros, does not enter the general 10, but he is the absolute #1 in the world among those who never played in the Big 5. This is 49 matches for the Brazil national team and the status of a legend everywhere, where millions were paid. My opinion? Hulk is an ideal example of how to build a career without playing for Real or Liverpool. At 39 years old, he returns home, having behind him a transfer history which any star would envy. His left foot shot still scares goalkeepers, and experience will help Fluminense fight for titles. And how do you think, is Hulk's career incomplete due to the lack of matches in the top leagues, or is he the smartest player of his generation who simply squeezed the maximum of money and fame? Do you know how a club looks that is falling apart? Not when it loses matches, but when players mock each other on the substitute bench, the captain goes to the dressing room before the break, the star returns from a yacht 12 minutes before the match, and at the same time, several players simultaneously release official statements that everything is fine with them. Everything good in 1 week. In one club, there is no smoke without fire. And now in Madrid, it is burning. Let's start with Mbappe. According to The Athletic, during training before the match with Betis, Kylian quarreled with a member of the coaching staff and expressed himself in his direction angrily and in abusive terms. The reason the coach recorded him offside during a scrimmage, offside at training, Mbappe did not hold back. The club, according to sources, is not going to impose any sanctions, because why punish the top scorer before El Clasico? And further, a trip to Cagliari, the club gave permission for individual recovery after a hamstring injury. Mbappe took his girlfriend Esther Exposito, a yacht, and went to Italy. He returned to Madrid 12 minutes before the starting whistle of the match with Espanyol. 12 minutes. The Madrid media exploded. Arbeloa came out to the press and said, Real was built not with players in tuxedos, but with those who finished the match in a shirt covered in sweat, dirt, and sacrifice. He did not name a name. He did not have to. And then the camp of Mbappe did something we haven't seen in a long time. An official statement in AFP, part of the criticism is based on over-interpretation of elements of recovery, which was strictly controlled by the club. This does not correspond to the reality of the commitment and work that Kylian does daily for the good of the team. Stop for a second. An official statement in AFP from a player of an active club about his own commitment in the middle of the season. Such statements are not made when everything is fine. Such statements are made when the situation has gotten out of control and something needs to be extinguished urgently. But this is only the beginning. Carvajal, a legend of the club, captain, a person who won everything that can be won with Real, sits on the substitute bench because Alexander-Arnold displaced him from the starting lineup. And instead of keeping quiet, he publicly parodies the slow return of Trent to defense during the match on camera in a live broadcast. And then goes to the dressing room even before the break, not waiting for the whistle. Arbeloa noticed this and was in a rage. But what can he do with a person who is a living legend of the Bernabeu? Carreras. A young player on the bench sarcastically smiles when Arbeloa prepares to bring on another player instead of him, openly, on video, which instantly spread through all social networks. And do you know what happened next? Carreras also released an official statement. I quote, "In recent days, certain insinuations and comments about me have emerged that do not correspond to reality. My commitment to the club and the coaches has been unwavering since day one and will remain so." Stop. This is already the second player with an official refutation in 1 week. The second in one club, in 7 days. I don't remember such a thing in modern football. That simultaneously a star and a young player of the same club publicly justified themselves in commitment to their team in the middle of the season without any official accusation from the club. They react to journalists, to social networks, to videos. This means one thing. Inside everything is so serious that it is no longer possible to remain silent. And against the background of all this, Barcelona is ahead by 11 points. Real is without the Champions League after the exit from Bayern. Arbeloa, an interim coach, whom no one inside perceives as a real authority. And the season, which is officially failed, my opinion, this is no longer a sports crisis. This is a crisis of culture and character. Under Zidane, under Ancelotti, even in the most difficult moments, the dressing room of Real kept its face. Now, public quarrels, demarches, official statements from agents, sarcastic smiles on camera, each separately is an incident. But when this all happens simultaneously, in one place, in 1 week, this is already a system. And the scariest thing is not even that Real is losing, but that the players have already stopped being ashamed to show the whole world that something inside has burned very seriously. There is no smoke without fire, and here the flame is already visible from the street. Atletico thought they had already taken their own, agreed with the player, settled personal terms, everything almost by hand. But here appeared United, and simply put more money on the table. Ederson from Atalanta, a new target of Old Trafford, and now it is clear why a place in the center of the field is becoming vacant officially. First, about the one who is leaving. Casemiro confirmed. He leaves United in the summer, without options. His words in an interview with ESPN Brazil shortened to the point, "There is no possibility to stay for another year. I am leaving through the big gate. 4 beautiful years, I am eternally grateful to the club and the fans. But my cycle here has ended." His wife already cried when fans asked him to stay. The Brazilian himself says he hopes not to burst into tears on the last day. This is not just the departure of a player. This is the end of an entire era in the club. And exactly here appears Ederson. United offered the defensive midfielder of Atalanta a contract of approximately 4.5 million euros per year, outbidding the offer of Atletico Madrid, which was 4 million. Moretto confirmed. United now is the club with the greatest interest and the highest salary offer. Arsenal also was interested, but for them, it is not a priority. Ederson is 26. He has been at Atalanta since 2022, contract until the summer of 2027. Atalanta itself prefers a sale precisely to United because the English are ready to pay up to 45 million, while Atletico offers only 35. That is, the Madrilenians have a personal agreement with the player, but lose on the transfer sum. United takes advantage of this. Here is the whole picture. Casemiro goes beautifully, with dignity, with gratitude, but the place needs to be closed. And Ederson looks like a logical, mature answer. 26 years old, proven in top football, motivated by a move to the PL, and for real money, not a cosmic sum. The only question whether Atletico will let the situation go or still raise the stakes. But for now, United plays confidently. More money for the player, more money for the club. It is hard to compete with such an approach. Casemiro, a legend who will leave a good memory. Ederson, perhaps, the one who will write a new page. Bastoni said yes to Barcelona back in April. Personal terms agreed. 5 years and silence. Already May, and the transfer still isn't there. Barca thinks Inter holds its position, and the player just waits. Welcome to one of the craziest transfer stories of this summer. So, in fact, Bastoni, 26 years old, contract with Inter until 2028, release clause is
Alessandro, bentornato.
Inter demands at least
Come ci si sente a ricominciare dopo?
and considers this an undervalued assessment. Transfermarkt puts him at 70. That is, it won't come cheap. On the side of Barcelona, the picture is strange. The player already said yes, and the club itself is breaking. Why? Because inside there are real doubts. Bastoni may be too slow for the very high defense line of Flick. Barca even considers defenders without a natural left foot, that is, the concept of left-footed central is no longer mandatory. Morata, at the same time, behaves like a person who holds all the cards. Bastoni, a great champion. Barcelona is watching him. But there is nothing concrete. He is our player and wants to stay. Moreover, Inter is considering a contract extension even up to 2030 to close the question entirely. And here, while Inter holds Bastoni and doesn't let anyone in the club itself, is actively looking for reinforcement in the midfield, and the target is unexpected, Inter wants to buy a graduate of Liverpool, one who grew up in this club, spent his entire career life there, and now, it seems, is ready for a new chapter. Curtis Jones, the next target of the Serie A champions, Shearer confirms. Inter is actively working on a summer deal for Jones, and the player with his entourage has already given the green light for the move. One of the Englishman's agents has already visited Milan and met with club representatives. The first negotiations were successful. Why does Inter want exactly him? The logic is clear. Fratesi does not receive enough playing time and may leave. Mkhitaryan is approaching the end of his career. Several other midfielders are aged or with a cloudy future in the club. Jones closes several holes at once. And what about Liverpool? Negotiations regarding a new contract have reached a dead end for several months now. Jones enters the final year of his deal, and his preference is to stay in Liverpool, but only if he will be a core player. Such guarantees, it seems, are not given to him. Slot increasingly often puts him as a right back, and Jones wants to play in the midfield. That is, we have a situation. The player wants more. The club cannot give it. Inter can. The picture comes out symbolic. Inter, champions of Serie A for the third time in a row simultaneously, both refuses to sell Bastoni and hunts for high-quality reinforcement in the midfield. This is not a club in crisis. This is a club that knows its value. Jones is an interesting option. Versatile, young, already ready for big football. Serie A can become a new push for him, which Slot did not give at Anfield. But I am interested in something else. Won't it turn out that Inter will sign Jones instead of selling Bastoni? Then Barcelona will be left with nothing and with money, which was not enough anyway. 20 years. 20 long, painful, well, next time, years, and here it is. Arsenal in the Champions League final. A real final. Not a quarter, not a semifinal, a final. Budapest, 30th of May, Puskás Arena. And if you think that this is just another match, you clearly do not understand what is happening with this club right now. So, in fact, Arsenal beat Atletico 1-0 in the second match and passed with a total of 2-1. The only goal, Saka, he himself then said, everything started even before the match when we arrived by bus. I have never seen anything like it. And you know what? He was right that atmosphere at the Emirates was something unreal. Arteta, after the match, emotional, honest, after 20 years, and only for the second time in our history, we returned to the Champions League final. I have never felt such a thing at a stadium. For the first time, the Gunners played in the CL final in 2006 against Barcelona and lost 1-2 in Paris. Then there was the team of Wenger, Henry, Fabregas, Lehmann, and still it was not enough. Now a new generation, a new coach, a new chance. Declan Rice is already preparing. Budapest, I want 200,000 Arsenal fans there. Let's make it special. Saliba, as always, short and to the point. We have 4 finals. We want to win all of them. Look at this trajectory. 2023/24 quarterfinal. 2024/25 semifinal. 2025/26 final. This is not luck. This is a build. Arteta, year after year, adds something important to this team. Experience, character, confidence in big matches. They already know how to play under pressure, and precisely this makes them dangerous in the final. Will they win? I don't know. But I will say one thing. This team deserves this chance. And if Saka scores just as against Atletico, someone in Budapest will be very nervously smoking during the break.